Hey, you guys. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new here. I'm going to pray that everything goes okay. I lost internet and then my mic just, I don't know what happened to it, but we're back. We're going to be talking about the Chrisleys. As we all know, they were recently pardoned by President Trump. Since their release, everyone has been trying to get the first photo of Todd and Julie Chrisley. And we have some photos. Not only do we have photos, but we also have a video. Savannah, Todd and Julie Chrisley's daughter, who has been fighting for them, fighting for their release. She went live on Instagram yesterday. They were out shopping and paparazzi followed them. So, in an effort to take the ability away from the press to get that first photo, they just went live on Instagram. And it was very funny because Todd had a bag on his head to try to keep those paparazzi photos from being taken and getting out. A couple of things that I want to say before we get started is a lot of people have said, like, oh, President Trump pardoned them. They're getting special treatment. They're a wealthy white family, so they're getting special treatment. I've seen someone say, like, oh, he's not pardoning the people that you don't know about. He's only pardoning. And this is not in defense of anybody. This is just the truth. Savannah said this, and I checked into this. The Chrisleys were not the only people that were pardoned the other day. He actually signed off on several pardons, like almost 15 pardons, I think it was. The reason why the other ones are not in the news is because they're not celebrities. So News Nation and there's not, so it's not really being covered to the extent of the Chrisleys. So when people say, oh, he's only pardoning wealthy white people, and presidents pardon people. They do that. President Trump is not the first president to pardon people, and he will not be the last person to pardon people. I have a question though. How many of you guys think that Joe Exotic should be pardoned? Because Joe Exotic, the Tiger King, is all over everybody's social media pages. He's in live streams. I think it was Ryan Anderson's live stream that I saw Joe Exotic in, like trying to get Ryan Anderson's attention, wanting Ryan Anderson to like shout him out and like encourage his followers to like, call for his pardon. I was like, holy crap, this is so crazy that Ryan Anderson, I mean, that Joe Exotic is in Ryan Anderson's TikTok live begging to be pardoned. But not only that, he's on the Chrisley's pages. He's like everywhere begging for attention on his case. So I just thought, like, I wonder how many people really think that he should I saw that, and I'm glad that you brought this up. Did you see that he's looking into pardoning Diddy? That's not what was actually said. The media swung that. He was basically asked, like, would you consider it? And he basically said, I'm not above looking into anything. Like, I will look, I'll look if people bring me cases. Like, he's like, I'll look into them. I have my people look into them, then they come to me. And if it's a case where I feel like they deserve to be pardoned, I'll pardon them. So he never said he was going to pardon Diddy. That's just like the way the media swung it. It's the same way the media swung the Chrisleys and what happened with them. They say one thing or one thing comes out and then they just ran with it. But he definitely did not say that he was going to pardon Diddy. He just was asked, "Would you?" And he made like a blanket statement, like, "I will look into party it." Like, if it's brought to me, and my administration think that it's worth looking into, I will look into things. But and I do think he said something, like, did he like me? I liked him, didn't have a problem with him. Like, did he go to the white parties? I hope not. I don't know. I sure hope not. I'm sure if Trump had went to the white parties at Diddy's house, those pictures would have been released already, right? But anyway, so they were pardoned. They were released from prison, and the photos have come out. We have a few photos here that we're going to watch. That we're going to look at. We're going to watch Savannah Chrisley's Instagram, where they were trying to get away from the paparazzi, and then we're going to watch the first press conference that he did, where he answered questions. He also did reveal that they would be returning to TV soon. They would be returning to. Oh my goodness! So this photo right here is of Todd and Julie Chrisley as they reunited. Not long after they reunited for the first time. As we know, they were obviously both in prison. They were not in the same prison. So she was in Kentucky, he was in Florida, And they, from the moment they left their house, the like night before, or not the night, they leave their house, they say their goodbyes. I'm sure they have a phone call before they turn themselves in, but they have not heard each other's voices since they entered into their prison. Since they went into prison, Todd has not heard Julie's voice. Todd was able to call his children. He talked to Grayson. He talked to Chloe. He talked to Savannah. He talked to Chase. He was able to talk to them on the phone and have video chats with his children, but he did not hear his wife's voice for 2 years. They were able to email back and forth, and Savannah and Chase had said that even though they were able to email, the system, like the BOP system, is not it it wouldn't exactly get to Julie in a timely manner. I was just thinking that too. Like if I had to go 2 years without hearing my husband's voice, oh my goodness, like I I couldn't even imagine going through that. I could not even imagine going 2 years without hearing my husband's voice. So can you guys imagine how they felt reuniting for the first time? And what we know now is it's supposed to be televised. Um, Cameras were there when Todd and Julie saw each other for the first time. And Chloe is technically their granddaughter. So Todd and Julie, they share children together, but Todd has, is there ads in this? Like in the middle of it, really? What is going on? So Todd has Lindsay and Kyle that are his oldest two with his first wife. Kyle's daughter is Chloe. Chloe was adopted by Todd and Julie. Even though they are her grandparents, she actually calls them mom and dad. So they look to her as their daughter. Like they don't even look at her like a granddaughter, really. They look to her as their daughter. Another I want to see the reunion for Todd and Nanny Faye. I hope that was filmed as well because you guys know Nanny Faye probably. I'm sure there were so many tears shed for this family, between them reuniting. And then, even the outside world is so, here's Julie. And I've seen people say, like, oh, Lord, Julie, like, she does not look bad to me. I think she looks great. I told Sean whenever this photo come out, I said, "There's no way in Hades I would want you to see me after 2 years being locked down, like no skincare routine. Like, oh my goodness, I'm sure I would look horrible, but I think Julie looks good. Her hair is darker. I mean, the top looks a little grayish, but is that gray on the top or is that just the light hitting it? Can somebody tell me? Because all this time I thought, oh, the very top of her hair is gray. And then I saw somebody, Chase said her hair is completely brown. So then I was like, wait a minute, is that just the reflection of the sun that makes it look gray? It's gray? Okay, that's what I thought. I cried so much during their press conference. Oh my goodness, I know. Okay. Oh, thank you. So here is a few screen grabs I've got of Todd when they were on Savannah Chrisley's live. And one thing that I can say is having Todd in your family, he is so funny. He's hilarious, quick-witted, like quick on his toes. He is just, I mean, you say something and bam, he's right back at you, right? They lost that. Savannah lost having that there and having her parents there, and then she had to take on the role of raising her siblings. She had to take on the role of raising Grayson and raising Chloe at just, I think she was 25 years old when she took them in, when her parents went to prison, and then she lost the morale that her dad brought. But it made me think. Just imagine what that did for the prisoners. Like I'm sure when Todd went in, he didn't, he didn't, he wasn't just right to funny Todd. It probably took him some time to adjust. But after, I mean, they were in there for 2 years, so I'm sure at some point Todd got to the, he made friends. They worked out every day. I'm sure he brought that to the prison systems, and I'm firmly one of the. I believe that all things happen for a reason. A lot of people say they'll ask Christians like, "Oh, if you believe in God, then why did he do that?" Like I've even seen people comment this on IG posts, and if you don't hold the same beliefs as me, I'm not saying you need to. I'm just sharing with sharing with you guys for a second. But I've seen people comment on Savannah's page when she's, mentions God and working within her family or knowing that God is there for them. And they ask, well, why did even go, why did God allow this? If you guys, you guys are big Christians and you worship God, why did God even allow this? But God may have allowed this because Julie went into prison and ministered to people. Todd went into prison and ministered to people. I just wonder how many lives they touched going into this prison. Look at the noise that they brought. Look at how much they have exposed the injustice of our judicial system just because this big family, who a very faithful family, God-fearing family. I mean, if this would have been, some other family that maybe did not have the beliefs that they have, if they would have went after, somebody else, Kris Jenner, I don't know, and put her in prison, I don't know, like some other families, it just might not have like if they had faith, maybe they would have lost it, or maybe it just wouldn't have worked out this way. But I believe God had a huge plan for them. And yes, they went to prison. They lost 2 years away from their family, 2 years away from each other. But I believe wholeheartedly that God used them for a big purpose. Like the Chrisleys are on our TV to bring smiles to a smile to our face and entertain us. But there's people that watch me that believe the Chrisleys, are frauds, and that you can believe that. I'm not trying to tell you don't have to. I hold a different opinion. I'm not going to say they're perfect. I definitely don't think they're perfect, but I definitely think that God had a huge plan for them, and that plan just played out in front of our eyes. They were found guilty. They didn't take a plea deal. And they didn't take a plea deal because they were innocent. They're like, we're innocent. We're not taking a plea deal. But that also affected them when it comes to sentencing because it was looked at like you took a plea deal, you're refusing to take accountability. And judges do not like that. Judges do not like when you're found guilty and you don't take accountability. That's why when Julie had her appeals hearing and she went before the judge, she apologized. She was like, I'm sorry for what I did. I know I hurt a lot of people. And Todd was asked at the press conference, we're going to watch it in just a minute. Todd was asked, if you guys were innocent, then why did Julie apologize? And he's like, when you're up against the government, like you have to apologize. You literally have to apologize for something you did not even do. Because if you don't, they look at it as you refusing to take accountability. And I'm like, that's a double-edged sword, I feel like, because yes, when you have somebody that does commit a crime, like taking a life or something, and then maybe, I don't know, they commit a crime, they go up for parole, and they say, well, I was innocent. I didn't do it anyways. You're sitting there thinking, you were found guilty. You did it. And now you won't even admit that you did it. You have no remorse. You still won't even say you done it. So no, I'm not, your your request to be released early is denied because you're not taking accountability. Exactly. You have to admit these things. And so for Julie, she's at this appeals hearing where she's supposed to get a lesser sentence. So she had no choice but to say, I'm sorry for what we did and admit that she did something that they still hold strong to that they did not do. So I know some people don't, may not believe my beliefs, and that's okay.
I can definitely tell.
That's the wrong thing, and that's okay. But I do believe that God just used them for a really big purpose. Okay, so we're gonna watch Todd's press conference really quickly, you guys. Bear with me. I had to break it up into 3 different parts. So first, what we're going to watch is Todd's lawyer. Todd's attorney goes up and speaks first. All right, here we go.
Being here, I appreciate the attention to this matter. I know folks have wanted to talk to Todd and Savannah, so they're here to do that. I'm going to let them introduce themselves and tell a few words. We'll take questions after.
Good morning, guys. Thank you all very much for coming today, for having the interest. I want to thank first and foremost my Lord and Savior, because that's who got me through it. I want to thank President Trump. I want to thank the administration. I want to thank Alice Johnson. I want to thank every person that has prayed for us, that has stayed in the fight and that fought for the truth to come out. And so I am grateful for it. And As Savannah said, she has fought a long fight. And for any parent to see their child fight this hard, it's a double-edged sword. It's a blessing, and then your heart breaks because your child has been placed in that position to fight for you, when as a parent, you're supposed to fight for your children. So I will always be grateful to you from the bottom of my heart. We've had wonderful legal representation, maybe not in the first go round, but certainly when you picked up. And we're certainly grateful to you, Alex, and to you. This is the better looking version of our team. So, we're grateful for everything that has happened thus far. And as bad as this experience has been, there's also been a lot of blessings to come from it. I have met some wonderful men. I have listened to some horrific stories about things that have gone on in our system. And whether you believe it or not, because I was you at some point, even though this pardon has happened, I still was convicted of something that I did not do. It could be.
I'm going to jump in really quickly, but somebody, I think it was the Chrisley's attorney when Savannah had Alex Little on her podcast to talk about it. He said something along the lines of, a lot of people commit fraud and don't know, but if you have the government going after you and they come across this, they could charge you with fraud. And he said, if you've ever applied for a credit card and you put that you make more than you actually do, even if it's barely anything more than you do, he said, if the government wants to go at you and they find that application where you said you made $100 more than you do, he said, you can be charged for like fraud or something because you're lying. He said, when you apply for loans, credit cards, you're supposed to put the exact amount that you make. And anything different than that, the government wants to go after you. They could use that to go after you. He's like, so how many people do you think have done that? I saw this lady, Chase actually shared this on his Instagram. It was this lady that did a video and she was like, everybody wants to say like they stole money, She was like, did steal money from me? She's like, what about all the people that's stealing food stamps? She's like, half the people that want to attack the Chrisleys for stealing, probably stealing food stamps from the government right now, probably under Medicaid, when they don't really qualify for it. She was like, I woke up every day that they were allegedly stealing money, went to work. I never saw a dime come out of my pocket because of them. Like we all have to pay our taxes regardless. Like they did not take money from me. And I was like, that is so true. Like everybody is like, oh, they stole, like this affected, us. And I'm like, don't we still got to pay our taxes? Like, like, don't we still got to pay am I confused here? So I thought her video, I was like, I agree with that. It makes a lot of sense.
Be you. It could be you. It could be any of you. And somewhere in this room, someone has had a family member that has been affected by this system. So I understand the shame that's around it, but I refuse to feed into that because shame is like a cancer that just spreads, and I have no shame. So I will continue to fight for all the guys that I dealt with and that I was blessed to be with at FPC Pensacola. I will continue to expose the injustices that go on there and throughout the department and throughout the Bureau of Prisons. I know that Julie, who is a wonderful, decent, God-fearing woman and that I am blessed to have been married to and been with for over 30 years now, an excellent mother. She's at home with Chloe right now, and Chloe will not let her go. So we're blessed to have our family back, and we're blessed to be coming back to television because we do have a much bigger story to tell now than we ever have. So I thank each and every one of you.
Happy to open this up for some questions. We'll start here.
All right, let's watch the next one. Okay, so now he's gonna ask some questions. This is actually the media asking questions. And if you watched this live, you couldn't really hear what the media was saying. That's why I wanted to record this and try to take away as much background information as possible and increase the audio so we could hear what they were actually asking. All right, so Triple, thank you so much for the gift. Let me see who you gifted really quickly. Angelique Edwards received a membership gift. Thank you so much for that. Let me see. Let me see if I can. Oh, I just did something. I don't know what I did. I'm trying to. I think that was on accident, Sean. I got it fixed, Triple. I got it fixed. I went back to see and I got it fixed. Okay, so this, like I said, this is when they're being asked questions by the news reporters.
Right, Todd, Julie, and family. And the second part of that is, Todd, the fans have been really talking about your physical transformation.
Yeah, I call it the BOP glow.
And so what was the motivation behind that, and how are you going to continue that sort of fitness routine moving forward?
Well, I'll actually have more access to better products now that I'm out. I think that I had nothing to do other than to read and to work out. And so I worked out every morning at 10:45 until 12 with my buddies there. And I read, and my walk with Christ became deeper. And I talked to my daughter every day, to Chase, to Grayson. And I was able to email with Julie every day. And so I think that for me, I haven't had the same effects that so many people leaving the prison system have had. So I'm grateful for that. Or maybe it's just all the residual Botox that never wore off.
What was the reunion like, though, first night?
Yes, I think for me, obviously, I went to pick up my dad. And when he walked out, it was just such an overwhelming feeling because the last time I was there, I was dropping him off and watching him walk away. So I think watching him walk towards me, I was an absolute disaster. And we left there and it was amazing. And I FaceTimed my friend Margot, who works within the administration. And she goes, "Hold on a second." She was like, "I'm here with the president." And we got to FaceTime the president. And it was a full circle moment.
I think that it was, as Savannah said, she and Nick dropped me off there, and then you picked me up. I don't even know that I felt like that it was real at that moment. And I woke up the first morning and I was looking around. I'm like, this is really real. I'm home. So I was grateful for our family to be all back in the same room, to be together, to share a meal together, to pray together, and to know that we're still in the fight together.
Mr. Chrisley, do you have any remorse for the actions that led to your evictions?
Oh, you must be CNN. Do I have any remorse? I would have remorse if it was something that I did.
Well, your wife did apologize last year.
Well, let me explain to you how that works, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
You're placed in a position as a defendant to either bow down and kiss the ass of the Department of Justice and accept responsibility for things that you did not do in order to avoid a stronger sentence. And the corruption that went on in our case is going to continue to unfold, and Alex is going to continue to give each and every one of you the evidence that as it comes in.
Sure.
Next question.
You haven't seen your wife in so long. Hearing her voice, seeing her, what was that like?
It was overwhelming. It was overwhelming. Julie and I have been together for over 30 years, and she is my best friend. We have raised our children together. A grandchild that is now my legal daughter. And we've had all the ups and downs. We've gone through breast cancer together. We've gone through multiple medical procedures with her. And it was great to be home. No matter where that is, as long as she's there, it's home.
Got a question up here?
Hey guys, well, welcome home, Todd.
Thank you so much.
I know this has been a big journey for you, Savannah. What is one thing that happened behind the scenes that maybe you want the public to know is understand?
You want to go first?
I think, obviously the biggest misconception right now is that I either paid for a pardon or slept for a pardon.
That's something I would.
That's the biggest misconception.
He said that's something I would do. Obviously, if he wasn't married. I love that she addresses this because I've seen so many people say that. Like, oh, they obviously paid for a pardon. And I'm like, can we address something? The Chrisleys paid for a pardon. First off, Savannah has talked a lot about how they lost a lot of money when her parents were indicted. And then they lost a lot of money when her parents went to prison. And then they had to pay, they were paying restitution. And she's taking care of kids. she's like, I don't have the money that like we once had. But isn't Trump like, doesn't he have like does Trump have a lot of money? I mean, I remember like reading a while back, I think this was his first term, that he wasn't accepting a paycheck, that you have to accept something. So he was accepting a penny each quarter that, you pay they pay the president. He was accepting a penny because he had to, but then he was donating the rest. And I remember a while back looking into what he was donating this to. I think one time it was like wildlife or something he donated his check to. There was something to do with veterans that he donated one check to. So I'm like, who are they paying for this? Are they paying Trump, the person that like I think probably has more money than them? Like, that's not even like, I know he didn't accept, a salary last time. So who are they like? When people say she paid for it, I'm like, to who? Like, who did she pay? Like whatever.
Right now, and if people knew the countless hours and the money and the time that I spent going to DC, literally with not a meeting scheduled, and I just got on a plane and went and said I'm going to be in the right room at the right time and meet the right people. I fought hard and I was exhausted and I begged for meetings. There was nothing I was never too good to ask. And that's the thing is people think, oh, you're a celebrity, you're white, you have money, that we got an upper hand, and we didn't. I had to fight, and I was relentless, and that's how it happened. Finally, people listened. So for me, that would be something that people just don't quite understand.
All right. And then we have another one that we're going to watch. Well, like I said, I had to piece them together because they were too long to send over in full. All right. Here's another one.
Watching it all unfold and listening to what she said that was coming up next, and just being consumed with pride while at the same time knowing that this is a long shot because so many people are told no. And being in the prison system, anyone that says that it's a fair shake, it's not. Because I dealt with young African-American males in the prison that I was in that were not treated the same. They were denied programming. They were denied access to certain things. I was not denied that, but we know why I wasn't denied that. And so I think that is a much bigger picture that we all as a society as a whole need to look at, that we are one. And whether you're Republican, Democrat, or whatever, at the end of the day, when you're in that hospital, you don't care if it's a Democrat treating you or a Republican. Now, some of you may, but I want whoever's going to be the best person to do that.
Right.
You.
Thank you. So there's no telling how many times Savannah's Instagram was refreshed yesterday with everyone looking for that glimpse of getting to see Todd. And then the first time we see you live on Instagram is in Nordstrom shopping.
We thought through our security detail that we had beaten that and that we were good to go. And what we did not realize is that there was multiple outlets that were following us. People in Nordstrom's coming and said, you need to understand that the press is here. The press is here. And so I'm like, they're just wanting this one first picture. And so I said, go live with it. I says, and that stops them. And so that's what we did.
What do you have to say to the people who say you were only pardoned because of your status?
I understand it. That's not something that you can look at and say, well, that had nothing to do with it. I don't know if it did or if it didn't, because I wasn't involved in the process. But what I can tell you is that I believe in our president of the United States, and I believe in his commitment. When he created the First Step Act, that was to help incarcerated individuals. It was not adhered to by the Department of Justice. And the entire time during the Biden administration, it was not adhered to. So to hear him say that it is now going to be adhered to and Pam Bondi is going to make sure of that, literally since Pam Bondi has stepped in, now the Bureau of Prisons have been given a directive through a new director who I have such a huge amount of faith in, William Marshall, that he is going to make sure that the First Step Act is implemented, and these men and women are going to get the credit that they're supposed to be getting. They're going to get the training and the education that they're promised, and they're going to be given a right to go back to their families in a speedier way. So I do understand that, and if that's the case, I don't know how to address the fact that if it is the case, but I'm grateful to God for whatever reason it was that we were able to obtain it.
how do you plan to use your platform and to share different messages as you do now that you're competing in this new show?
You can't go through what we've been through and walk away from it. I'm fortunate, so is Julie, that we never lost contact with our children. Julie and I emailed 10 times a day. And I think it's also important to understand that I was at a camp. It was the brokest child camp that you can go to. The accommodations were not great, but it, needless to say, was a camp. It was a former military base. So we had free access to walk, and we had a track and a weight pile, and we had things that we could do. But there are men there that I think statistically, after the first 2 years, people lose contact with their loved ones. And that I can't even imagine how that must feel. But at the same time, I think that we at this point, God has said, when you know better, you do better. And it's our job at this point to expose all of that and to try to make those men and women's lives better if we can.
All right. And then I think we have one more that's going to finish up the press conference. And then we have Chase's
Let's take a
interview.
step back and take a look forward. First of all, what were both of your first reactions to the part where you shop? And looking forward, tell us, your trends in television, this docuseries, can you tease what it will be like in nature, what the focus will be? Tell us about that.
I mean, when I got the call, like I said, I was walking into the grocery store and I stopped in the parking lot. I was like, what do I do? I was like, okay, go back to my car. And so I sat in my car and had that phone conversation that's online with President Trump. And I was in such shock. I really didn't know what to say. I started crying. Grayson was with me and we're like, oh my God, it's happening. It's happening. And I really don't even remember driving home. Like, I was in such shock. And I then was able to talk to my parents and tell them what had happened, but it had already kind of spread like wildfire because President Trump's team posted the video and tagged it Trump Knows Best, which, I loved. But it spread like wildfire. And when they called, they're like, is this really real? Oh my, like, it was so hard to believe that it was actually happening.
I had a staff member that came to me and said, you've just been pardoned.
Sorry about that, guys.
And I just looked at him and he says, no, really, you've been pardoned. It's in the news. And so I walked up to call her and she said, it's true. It's true. So I remember walking back from the phone and just feeling numb, not really knowing. And then after about 10 minutes, all I could think about was the guys that I was leaving behind because I had made such wonderful relationships with those men. When I left that day, there was only 317 men at our camp, but they were lined up shouting when I was walking out. And they were saying, don't forget us, don't forget us. And my commitment is to them that I will never forget them.
So we had been filming, and we had just wrapped filming for all intents and purposes. And then we get the call that they had been pardoned. So we picked right back up and we're excited because I think this new show is going to first off, it's going to give people a look into the trial and things that we went through. And we're going to set the record straight, put some documents out there. Alex is on there. But it comes full circle because we go back and then we get to the point where mom and dad are pardoned and now we move forward with our lives. Obviously, they've already got all the offers rolling in, so it's going to make life so much easier.
I don't think the show would be on USA. It's on Lifetime. I really don't think Todd would work for USA anymore. And the reason why is because when they were indicted, they dropped them. They were like, we're going to play the rest of the season, but we're not going to renew you and we're not going to move forward with you because, you were indicted. So I don't think, Todd's kind of one of those ones, like if you mistreat him, that he's not going to do you any favors. Like since they dropped him at a time in his life where he feels like I'm being targeted, like the government is coming after me and wrongfully, and you're going to drop me. Todd knows this new show is going to be huge. First off, Chrisley Knows Best was one of the biggest shows on USA. The ratings were awesome. Like they were even aired on other networks because of it. Their show was huge. But when they were indicted, USA said we're not filming anymore. We will, we'll roll out what we have, but we're not going to film you guys anymore. I don't think Todd would give them that. I don't think Todd would say, you know what, yeah, we're going to come back to you and you're going to get a huge payday off of us again, even though you dropped us, when we were in the trenches, So I don't think so. It's going to be on Lifetime, but I don't think he would ever work. And that's just my opinion. I could be wrong.
See him on quite a few different shows, I have a feeling. So
You.
Can Todd confirm that you will be a part now of the second portion of the series? That
We are.
Yeah.
We started filming literally the night that we got home.
as soon as we got home. So I think with this new series, you will see the first time he and Mom see each other for the first time.
Let her have this question.
so I understand you're saying you were wrongfully convicted and that information will come out. But my question is, so, it was under the first Trump administration, the investigation happened and the charges. So how can it be political?
Well, if you will look at the individuals that prosecuted this case and that lied to the courts, and these prosecutors are no longer with the U.S. Attorney's Office. Tommy Krepp left and is now at the FDIC. Annalise Peters, she is now with Meta. You don't go to Meta and give up a career as a prosecutor. That's not what you do. You don't go to the graveyard of the FDIC when you're trying to build a career as a defense attorney. So
I also think it's very important to note that it took 7 years to issue a formal indictment.
Exactly.
So the investigation was going on for almost a decade. And when you look at it, our judge was the youngest African-American female appointed by Obama. So she allowed so many things to come into trial with the Fourth Amendment violations, and magistrate judge ruled that all the evidence must be thrown out because it was obtained illegally. So we don't know if stuff was planted. Mark Braddock was involved. He got full immunity from the government. So the whole trial was just messy and tainted. And when the magistrate judge ruled the evidence was not allowed in, the Obama appointed judge said, nope, I don't care. We're allowing it all in.
And with an email that said, we need to catch a big fish. And the response was, well, Todd Chrisley is the biggest fish in Atlanta right now.
And I think it's also important to note that the Office of Inspector General ruled in our favor in their investigation that stated, we agree that the Chrisleys were unfairly targeted. We substantiate
due to their celebrity status.
Yes, we substantiate the Chrisleys' claims that they were unfairly targeted. So at the end of the day, I will sit and say, as his daughter, I believe in law and order. If I believe that my parents did exactly what they were accused of doing, then yes, you
have a consequence.
You have a consequence for it. Do I think the consequence should have been 12 years? No, I do not. That's not even a fair sentence if it was true. But I know in my heart of hearts it was not true. I caught these prosecutors in so much misconduct, speaking to the judge, having ex parte communications. And
this is in writing.
It is in writing. Alex exposed the emails. So I think at the end of the day, if you want a conviction, then have a clean conviction.
And to go back to your question about it being a Trump administration, it was a Biden administration that the OIG issued the report under that said that we were targeted.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you.
All right, guys.
That's it.
Thank you all very much.
Thank
Awesome.
you. Thank
So one thing that he's obviously, what their plan is in their new show, and this is, obviously this already been filmed. They say, like our lawyer, we wrapped up filming. We wrapped filming, but when we found out they were being released, we called production. They came. She mentioned that their attorney is in the new series, that they are releasing a lot of the documents from the trial, from everything that happened to them, information showing where it was agreed with other investigations done by, who did she say, like the attorney general, that said, like, yes, we agree that the Chrisleys were targeted due to their celebrity status. Another thing that she talks about is when they won their appeal, when Julie won her appeal and she went to that hearing, she won her appeal, and basically they said, we can't prove that Julie had anything to do with maybe this amount. It went from like 30 million to like 12 or something. Like the amount that this 30 million has been pushed a lot, but it's literally changed from 30 million to like 12 million or something like that, right? But they don't talk about that. Like the only way you can figure out what they ended up through the appeal, like saying, okay, well, maybe not 30, but we think it was this amount, is if you watch Savannah Chrisley's podcast, Unlocked, where she has her attorney come on and explain why they filed the appeal, why they were granted oral arguments, and why they ended up winning the appeal as far as Julie was concerned, because they could not prove that it was 30 million, and Julie was supposed to, her time was supposed to be lessened when she went to that hearing, but political beliefs were different. And that judge, rather than like sitting there and saying, Julie, this, and this, and this, and this, she said, Savannah, you need to stop doing this. Savannah, you need to worry about taking care of them kids. Savannah, why are you on your podcast doing X, Y, and Z? Savannah wasn't on trial there. There's no reason a judge that is overseeing an appeals hearing should be addressing the children like that. She called her out. I mean, it was, when they come out of that hearing, her attorney was like, I've never seen anything like that. I've never, ever been to a hearing and the judge like started going off on the children, like that's in the courtroom. He's like, I've never seen that. That's not even ethical to do. And mind you, Savannah at 25 years old, brought her parents to prison and dropped them off, and then went home and moved her two siblings into her house. At 25 years old, moved her two siblings into her house, got them ready for school and raised them. At 25 years old, she raised them. And then she started her YouTube channel, with her podcast, and she's got them in therapy, and she's doing all the things, the best things that she knows how to do. But why did this judge have a problem with Savannah? She had them in therapy. They were going to school. They were making good grades. Grayson got accepted into college. So what was it that she was doing wrong? Speaking out about the injustice, the corruption. She is obviously a conservative. She supports President Trump when this judge was appointed by Obama. Like, that's what she did. There was nothing that you could pinpoint that Savannah really did wrong concerning those children. They were literally in therapy. They're going to school. They're making good grades. So what did she do wrong? But this judge, and I remember when this happened, I remember like a lot of people talking about it, like this judge, that was not okay. That was not okay. Because she was standing up for them. What are your thoughts on Josh trying to vacate his? See, I think that is ridiculous. I don't think Josh is going to get new attorneys. I don't think Josh is going to get a pardon. Josh filed a motion saying he needs new attorneys and that he can't afford them or something along those lines. And I'm like, well, maybe your dad. I mean, I don't think Jim Bob should have to pay for anything related to Josh Duggar, but Jim Bob did just buy $1 million home and put his family up in it. So it's like, well, maybe, I don't know, maybe versus, your wife and your kids having $1 million home, maybe you could have talked him into hiring attorneys, because his dad is doing. I hold firmly that if you make the mistake and you end up in jail, your family should not have to pay for that. Not your mom, not your dad, not your siblings. Nobody should pay for that but you. If they want to do it out of the goodness of their heart, okay, but it should not be expected. And that's a problem, is you got people going to prison and then they expect their family to do without so you can have, unlimited honey buns in prison and unlimited amount of time to talk on the phone to people. So Jim Bob and Michelle, they do all these things for Josh to have, food through commissary and time to on the phone to talk to them, to talk to Anna. And then they just bought $1 million house to put his family up in. And now he's filing with the courts trying to get court appointed attorneys that's going to fight to try to get him pardoned. No, that is ridiculous. Josh is not going to give a pardon. No way. No way. Where's Lindsay with all of this? Lindsay did make a post saying something along the lines of, like, God is good or something along those lines. I haven't seen her post anything else, but she did make a post regarding that. Like, right after it was announced that they were pardoned, she made that post. Okay, we're going to listen to one more video. And then
Can definitely tell that both of my parents have a very different outlook on life, but that's their story to tell. I mean, my parents were wrongly convicted. So I definitely think my he's definitely a different man.
Do you think you can get back to the heights that you had before? The popularity? Do you want that back?
I do want it back because I think that the bigger the voice that I have, the bigger the voice that my family has, the more people we can help. And that's one thing that my dad has said. He said, I would never imagine being surrounded by the people that I eventually call friends. There's no compassion in the prison system, in the judicial system, he said, and
This is very true. There is no compassion. Let me tell you guys something. Y'all know, most of you guys watching here know that I am in the middle of a body language course, a very in-depth, extensive body language course. It's one of the best that there is. And I was talking to my mentor the other day, and he said that he works with a lot of police officers, right? And he said there was a study done, and police officers are the worst at reading body language. That they are they never believe, even the innocent people that's like, I didn't do it. You have these correctional officers, you have police officers, wardens, they deal with the guilty so much that when the every so often there is an innocent one, they don't believe them. They don't believe them. So when there is that innocent person that comes through and they're saying, I didn't do it. When I was arrested, and I was like, I don't do drugs. They didn't believe me. There's no compassion. When I'm like, I have 6 kids at home, like, I swear I don't do drugs. They did not care when they were like, why did you pull over? And I was like, I just didn't see you. They thought I was lying. They give nobody a chance, you know? And now, this family's going to fight for people. And Todd said he's not going to forget those people. He's not leaving them behind. Savannah said she has been fighting for her parents, but she hasn't just been fighting for her parents. She's been fighting for others that she met through her parents. And she said now her parents get to join in this fight with her to fight for those people.
we're all going to work and help fight for justice for those who have been wrongly convicted.
Did he make friends in prison that changed the way he looked at the world?
Absolutely. He briefly mentioned, he was like, I was in there with people that had been locked up for 10 years on a drug offense. People look at that at face value. Oh, you're a drug dealer. But he said, but people don't look at everybody's situation or circumstances. Like if they had a sick child that they had to provide for. And again, not condoning that.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, like this country has the highest recidivism rate of any country. It's a revenue stream. Instead of focusing on helping better people and educating them and giving them opportunity and giving them the knowledge to re-enter the world, they just beat them down. That's where we're going to come in and we're going to make some noise.
Do you feel any pressure now to redefine the family legacy?
I don't feel pressure because we don't have any, I don't feel like we have anything to prove to anybody.
You are on every headline of every news organization across the country.
As far as pressure, like I think it's our job to set a positive example, be a positive role model, and to help the people that we can help.
Yeah. How will your family eventually clear their name? Because right now, me sitting across from you, reading those court documents, I look at it and I say, how in the hell didn't they know about $30 million? How didn't they know about those emails? So how do you then clear your family's name?
As far as I'm concerned, our family's name has been cleared with the presidential pardons.
And to those people who don't believe your family's name has been cleared, what do you say?
You saw the outcome.
Yeah.
So we'll pray for you.
Your family was always close knit. Does this bring you closer together now?
For sure. Yeah. I think it's made us all appreciate time more. And the little bickering or back and forth that every family has, I'm not going to do that. Because.
And I know Chase and Savannah, they were close, but they had their moments where they would go time without speaking because they would have, issues or whatever. Chase also suffered with addiction. and I'm sure that obviously caused some issues between him and his sister as well. But he's saying, like, he says at the end of this, I think he says, time is the one thing that money can't buy back. So he's going to make sure. He's always going to be one of the ones that wants to be at peace with the family.
Time is precious. Time is the only thing money can't buy back.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm grateful to God for every day that I wake up and I'm able to go work or able to go help somebody and be there for my family and be with my family. So no, I think that we're just getting stronger and closer.
You have been on TV a lot. You've grown up on TV.
Mm-hmm.
You are very comfortable in front of the camera. When will we see the peeled back, raw and real you?
I don't have an exact air date, but I think it's August that it'll be out, which dives into like my sobriety journey and coming out.
The reason Todd, he didn't go on a shopping spree. He went for clothes and for underwear. And see, that's something else. It's like people see that, that, oh, Todd went on a shopping spree. He literally said he had press to do and he had no clothes. He's been gone for 2 years. He's probably don't even fit in what he did fit in because he's been working out for the past 2 years pretty much. So he's like, I had no clothes. They don't they're living with Savannah. They don't even have the house. They had to sell their home while they were in prison. I'm sure Savannah had to handle that, probably to pay attorney fees. So he literally said, like, I'm over here free balling and the press is outside, like, trying to get pictures with me. So it wasn't like he was like, hey, let's go shopping, on a shopping spree. He literally was like, okay. I mean, hold up. My brother, when he got out of jail one day, I picked him up and he literally was like, I need to go get some clothes. I have nothing. So we went and got him some clothes. Most people, when they get out of jail, especially if they've been for a while, couldn't you go to Macy's? Maybe Nordstrom is closer. I don't know. Like, who knows? Like, I just feel like that's being picky. And I don't want to come down hard on anybody, but we really got to put things into perspective here. If we're going to, like, be mad at somebody over something, at least let it be something worth something. Like, to be like, oh, well, why couldn't you go to Macy's? I don't know. They're not everyday citizens like us. Maybe they have a little money. Savannah's been working her butt off. They know they know they don't have to pay that restitution back. They sold their house in like last year. So why not? I think he just went to get underwear and a suit, like does Macy's, I don't know if they sell suits. Maybe, but I really feel like if we're going to judge somebody and be harsh on what they've done, like, I can understand people for being like, oh, well, didn't they commit tax fraud? I don't like him for that reason. But to be like, well, he went shopping right afterwards. Most prisoners do. Most prisoners, somebody in the chat, if you have somebody that you have picked up from prison or from prison, isn't that one of like the earliest things they do is they have to go get clothes. They have to go, he had press like the next day. And he's like, I have no clothes for it. I have no underwear. I have no clothes and I have press. So, and then it's like, well, the problem wasn't even that they went shopping. It's where he went shopping at. Maybe he wanted to look nice for press. Maybe he wanted to look nice for press. They have this show. And like they said, they have the offers rolling in. Savannah said Todd has offers rolling in. Chase said on this interview, he's like, I don't think we're going to have an issue. Like, they're going to be like, they're going to get, they might write a book. Like, they're going to get some money. I can promise you. Like, let him shop where he wants to shop. If it's for a suit and a couple of pair of underwear, who cares? Who cares?
With this seltzer, that at the end of the day, I wanted to help people. And like I said, I leaned in, I celebrated with alcohol. And when times got tough, I leaned on, I used alcohol to cope and to just get away for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, alcohol's poison. And if I can help other people to join my journey of sobriety
Mm-hmm.
and help change their lives, I'm a blessed man.
That's beautiful. You've been busy. you're a businessman. What does your dad think of all the business things and you getting sober and the business stuff you're doing? How has he reacted to that?
I think my dad and I, obviously, when I was a kid, I was a kid.
Sure.
So I was in a very different situation than normal. So I'm sure I pissed my dad off left and right. But
Of course.
at this point, I think that
know,
our
right, Miss
relationship is
Poppins?
stronger than it's ever been. And I know that he's told me, like, I see in you what I've always seen in you, but now you're finally seeing it in yourself. And for that, he said, I give all the glory to God for that. And he said, and if that's one positive thing that has come out of me going away is you learn that you can do it on your own.
That has to be one of those moments where he said that to you and you were just like,
Yeah, it felt like he, instead of viewing me as in this way, he respects me.
he saw you as a peer.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and has as his child too, but I think now he sees me as a grown man putting the work in and getting sober. Like, so I think that he has a tremendous amount of respect for that.
Do you think now, because of what has happened, that he will pull you in on some of this business stuff?
I sure hope so.
Will you ever let him deal with people again in that magnitude or manner as the people he dealt with in the past?
I think my dad's learned that circle's closed. He'll never be in that position again. I won't have to check him. My dad's the one who's going to be checking everybody else.
Imagine. Yeah, and that's something else. Like Savannah said in the video when they were in the car, when they were leaving, he said, I got to give me some skincare stuff. And she said a certain company, she was like, oh, they done sent you a ton of stuff. So it's like maybe this company already called and said, hey, if you need clothes, we don't know. Like, we don't know what their financial situation is. We don't know if this was an offer, like, hey, come get you something. Like, they've already been sent a lot of stuff. They've already had a ton of offers. So I'm not going to nitpick like where this man went shopping, to go get some clothes for press. But yeah, super proud of Chase as well. He says the show's going to focus on his addiction, and it seemed like he was kind of nervous almost. Like, anybody else pick up on that? It seemed like he was nervous to be speaking out, but I'm glad to see everybody speaking out. I'm glad that Todd did this press. Julie, people was asking like, where's Julie? He said that, like Chloe has been hanging on to her. So Julie did not do the press conference, but I'm sure we will see Julie soon, hopefully. I mean, somebody got the one picture of her when she went to like the butcher store the day after she got out. She went shopping, grocery shopping, and she went to the butcher store. And she, I thought she looked good. Chase did say that he thinks the release date for the new show is going to come up in August, is what he thinks. He said. He said he thinks it's going to be in August, which is not that far. It's right around the corner. So I'm here for it. I cannot wait. Don't you guys already know that this show is going to pop off? It's going to pop off. Like they said at the press conference, one of the reporters said, Savannah, we know your Instagram was blowing up with, the people refreshing your page to get an update on Tide. And I think that people are going to be here for it. They want to see the reunion. We want to see the reunion of Tide and Julie, of Todd and Nanny Faye, and how the family comes back together. I'm here for it. I love it. Also, reminder, new season of Mama June starts tonight. Yes, I will be live on TikTok. I'm gonna watch it on TikTok in a little bit. I had so much other content that I needed to cover, you guys. I had a doctor's appointment yesterday. I have so much, like the Pumpkin Shannon, her mistress, did a TikTok live and I recorded it and she put out a bunch of information and I wanted to go live and talk about that with you guys. The text messages where Caitlin was texting with someone pretending to be Carly's friend. I've been wanting to talk to you guys about that. Oh my God. I literally have like a whole stack. Pumpkin getting kicked out of her building where she was doing her business, her store. Nathan, he got sentenced for violation of his probation. Amber, she responded to Ashley Siren, then Ashley responded back. Ryan Anderson, he did a live and put out a bunch of information about about Gypsy, and I have all this stuff written down of stuff that I want to cover for you guys. But y'all, with 6 kids and doctor's appointments and and football, and it's just been so hard to, and then me doing school again, it's just been really hard. So I still want to know what your eyeshadow wear. I commented on that, and I told you, go look. Look, hold on. It's an and I, let me see. It's not anything like special. Okay, so I'm going to show you really quickly. I got it in Ipsy Mystic. It's Ciate London. I used the brown in this palette. It's this brown right here, as you can see. Sorry, right there. I do this one, Ciate London. I got it in an Ipsy. I don't know. It's the Velvet palette. The Velvet palette with Ciate London. I use that brown, and I do it about midways, and then I put a little concealer in the corner, and then I this Laura Geller Made to Multitask Eye Lip Cheek Palette, Think Pink. I use this shimmer right here. I use that shimmer in the corner right there. So that's what I use. That's how I do my eyes. And if you have a Facebook Mystic, go on your Facebook and look up Elle Bee. And every so often I go live on Facebook and I do my makeup on Facebook. And I show you guys what products I use and everything. So if you have a Facebook and you're interested on how, somebody asked me the other day, please show me how you do your eyebrows. And I tried. I was like, okay, I'm gonna clip this and put it up on my page, but I could not get my eyebrows done that day. They were horrific. So anyways, you guys, my daughter uses, yeah, I like it. But join me on TikTok in a little bit. Let me see what time this is gonna air. You guys bear with me. Let me see what time the new Mama June comes on. Oh, it's on right now, I think. Yep, it's actually on right now. So we're gonna hop on over to TikTok, and we can actually watch it together, you guys. So no, you don't have to subscribe to watch it. Well, you have to follow me on TikTok, but TikTok now has a way where I can like screen share with you guys. Now, of course, it's gonna be little, but you can see me and you can see a little screen that I'm gonna aim it at my computer so you guys can see what's going on the show, and we'll talk about it. I completely understand that, Rachel. I question myself sometimes about why I watch it. But you guys give me just a few minutes. I got to run in and tinkle. My page is Elle Bee Official on TikTok. So go follow me over there, and I'll go live in a little bit, and you guys can join me and we can watch the Mama June show together. Anyways, you guys leave your thoughts in the comment section below. I do understand and realize not everybody agrees with me on the topic of the Chrisleys. Some people are like white privilege, how dare them get out of prison? And you are more entitled to feel that way. I do just ask that you just look at the documents and go watch Emily D. Baker. I think the lawyer has a video up about the Chrisleys. Also, Savannah Chrisley has had her lawyer on several times to talk about the corruption and everything that's happened throughout their trial and before their trial, and when they were being looked at. Just go do a little bit of research, because it's not the way that it appears. But if you do your research and you still hold that opinion, I respect your opinion, and I ask that you respect my opinion. And I just ask that we be respectful about it. I'm not going to call you names, and I hope that you don't call me or anybody else in the chat's name. Are you going to cover pumpkin on here? I will be covering pumpkin very soon. I'm going to head on over to TikTok, you guys. Let me go tinkle. Join me over there. Like this video, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.